I watched the end of the Timberwolves Thunder game, which did not appear that it was going to be a good game at all until the Timberwolves came back down 25 points.
I was following along on the score ticker. So like, exactly what I would expect to happen to this Minnesota team. They're getting the hell beat out of them by the Thunder. Good on the Thunder. And then look up and it's like, holy hell, how'd they win that?
Why is it in overtime? Well, it's also bizarre because this was the third time in 4 games that the Timberwolves and the Thunder have played each other, which, yes, we've gotten to the point where you have the back-to-back series. Usually they're in the same city, which was not the case this time around. But if you go back to the Thunder and Timberwolves last game before All-Star break, they played each other. And then they played each other on Sunday in Minnesota. That game did not end until like 11:30 Central Time because it got pushed back after the Grizzlies-Cavs game ran long on ESPN. So they get on a plane, fly to Oklahoma City, where they landed close to 3 a.m., turned around, played last night's game 22 hours after the previous night's game had tipped off. So not even a full 24-hour day between Timberwolves Thunder on Sunday, Timberwolves Thunder on Monday, and the Thunder were just running away with it. Timberwolves down 25 in the third, down 24 in the fourth. They were down 16 with 3:40 to play in this game, down 16 with less than 4 minutes left in the game, and they came back. Prior to last night, when teams were down 24 or more in the fourth quarter, those teams had lost the previous 1,152 games. But last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves came back and beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. And what was wild to watch in real time was the comeback mostly came with Anthony Edwards on the bench. Like, Anthony Edwards gets credited for the big block on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to end the game, and it was a great block, and Anthony Edwards, playing on a bit of a bum calf, had to rest quite a bit, but he gets the game-sealing block, comes up with the massive play. Naz Reid wasn't having a great game. It was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, it was Jaden McDaniels, it was the young guys like Rob Dillingham, who was impressive as hell. Rob Dillingham, his defense last night was awesome. And I know Rob Dillingham was drafted essentially to one day replace Mike Conley, and like his locker is right next to Mike Conley, and that's his future ascension. But what he does on the defensive end, giving the Timberwolves another just like pesky, wild defender, is huge. Jalen Clark had that presence last night for the Wolves. Who's the other rookie? Terrence Shannon, after his jersey went up upside down, he had one of his better games of his rookie season. It just struck me how we've kind of looked at the Timberwolves of especially after the Rudy trade, and they lost all those picks. I was like, well, they're going to really struggle with youth coming up in the next however many years, and now it's 2025, and I looked at the roster that was coming back against the number 1 team in the West last night, and they're all really young, and they're all really promising. You never know. It's the middle of a rookie season for Dillingham and for Terrence Shannon. But in terms of promise, like, it's right up there. And I give the Timberwolves full credit. It's hard to come back down 25 against the number 1 team in the NBA because usually the comeback, you can come back and get close, but you just run out of gas at the end. But they were able to put it down, get a big win, and it was entertaining.
Yeah, I hate I missed it.
It's tough.
While this comeback is a fun little story on a random Monday in February, I don't think it says anything about anybody at all. Like, 7-game series.
I look at games like that, and I do think when you get to the postseason, especially for those younger players, like, those are confidence boost points. I'm not saying they win a series.
You want to be confident in the playoffs.
But they feel better after a game like that versus never having. Plus, this Timberwolves team, I got real down into the Timberwolves season catch-up yesterday. They have 6 comebacks this season of 15 or more points.
That's it.
They haven't been good in the clutch for the most part. And we saw that when the Grizzlies had those 2 games and those big moments from Ja down the stretch where the Grizzlies, I think, had back-to-back clutch wins in Minnesota. But I was intrigued.
Like, you want the opposite of being confident going into the playoffs or going into a playoff series, being unconfident. So given the two, you want to be confident. I'd much rather you be good and experienced. And they aren't that. There's severe flaws in what they've got going on. With the exception of Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards, who is going to be able to create something either for themselves or for somebody else.
You think
on
Dillingham
that team.
eventually?
Eventually.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying that this year, though. Correct? All right. Like, I don't think we're saying, okay, it's third quarter and a team is going on a 8-2 run. We got Anthony Edwards on the bench. Hey, Dillingham, go out there and create for yourself or for somebody else and get an easy, guaranteed good look at it. Yeah. No, we're not saying that about them. Maybe down the line we will. Maybe. There's promise here, like you said. But right now, no. And it's fine to have all of the intangibles. Mm-hmm. You need the intangibles. But the tangibles is what you got to have. You got to be good. You got to be able to score. You got to be able to rebound, defend, take care of the basketball. That's what you've got to be able to do. And then when you face another team who's able to do those things as well, then we can talk about the intangibles. That's when the intangibles come into play. But if you can't do those things,
without Karl Anthony Towns, it felt like, why would you get rid of such a central piece that led to a trip to the Western Conference Finals? Like, just to make such a drastic move right after that, really felt that they would just fall off. Not altogether. You still have Ant and you still have Rudy and all the pieces around.
You're making it seem like they haven't fallen off. I'm not ready to say
that they've totally fallen off.
What were they last year? Were they not the 2 seed, 3 seed?
So, okay.
And aren't they the 7 seed, 8 seed?
At this point in time.
All right. So that's a fall off to me.
They're tied 7-6, and that group is 4 games back from the Rockets and the Lakers group. And then the Rockets and the Lakers are 2 games back from the Grizzlies.
You said they're tied 7-6.
Like the Clippers have the edge because the Clippers are 31-26, Timberwolves are 32-27, so winning percentage-wise.
They could be a 6 seed. Okay.
And there's still, I don't know if you know this, it's February 25th. There's movement opportunities for some of these teams.
I just don't believe that's a team that's going to move. I don't have any faith in them.
It's more a question of what a team in front of them drop.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hart, live every weekday at 8 a.m.